Hello and welcome to Kushti TV, the straight talking YouTube channel. I've got a gentleman here as promised. What has he got to say? Yes, well he's an high-end business, successful business entrepreneur. He's an unlicensed boxer, he's a world-rank golf professional. He had faced the evil, infamous serial killer Levi Bellfeild in a boxing ring. He's going to talk about that and much, much more. Sit back, make yourself a cup of something, yeah, because trust me, this is going to be a very, very interesting interview. Right here, the gentleman in question, Mr. Graeme Stevens. Welcome to the show, sir.
How are you? I'm good.
Jolly good, jolly good. It's what we like to hear. The sun is shining and we're all happy,
yeah,
eh?
and I'm in a sweatshirt.
Well, maybe that's your form of workout these days,
yeah,
maybe.
Exactly. Trying to lose a bit.
Yeah. So, so just tell us, let's just start. How did you get into golf? Before you come into the boxing, tell us how you got into that stuff.
I got into golf when I was probably 12, 13, early teenage years. Probably like any kid, hanging around on the streets, fighting a little bit, getting up to mischief. Nothing bad. Wasn't a bad kid.
Kid stuff, really.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I've been moved around by my parents. My mum been married a number of times and had stepdads here and stepdads there.
Yeah.
And probably just going off the rails. So I'm a good mum. She decides that she's going to do something as a mum will to get an interest in something else, and fun enough, piano lessons. She gets me piano lessons to start. So imagine as a 12, 13-year-old kid and the boys are fighting on the street, and there's me having a couple of piano lessons. That weren't going to happen.
Well, she's probably seen here the tranquility of piano music. I don't know about you guys at home, but I like my relaxing music, and sometimes it's really classical piano. So she might have thought, well, there's a calming influence in the piano, but it didn't work.
No, piano lessons weren't going to work.
So Liberace, Elton John weren't for you.
No, I think the stick I got from the lads back then doing piano lessons was too much for me to take.
Too much to take, yeah.
So anyway, the next thing was golf. So she decides, well, I'm going to get you some golf lessons and you're going to go and play golf. Again, back then, no kids of my age were all playing football, boxing, messing around. Golf still wasn't.
You see, the thing with boxing and golf, it's football. Sorry, with golf and football, they were fairly cheap sports. I mean, you get a ball, you're kicking around. It's a national sport. But golf then had a bit of a tier, and it still has to some level a bit of an upper class tier.
I was living down as a 12-year-old living down in Hampshire, and it was just a private golf course. So golf was it had this stigma about it. It was just for the rich and the posh people. We come from a council house background.
Yeah.
My mum remarries and moves just outside of West London, and there was a lot of pay and play golf courses and driving ranges. Yeah. I hadn't seen that before, so
it was
more accessible.
Yeah.
So cut a long story short, it was 50p on a Saturday morning, junior golf lessons. She took me down there.
Happy days.
And just whacking a golf ball around it weren't for me to start with, but because I just moved up to West London, I didn't really have too many friends at that stage, so it kind of gave me a bit of time.
But clearly good at it. And what does us as human beings, what we do tend to be drawn at, not always, there is exceptions, but we tend to be drawn if you're pretty good at something, and you're clearly showing
I think that's how it was for me, Joe, is because I think any kid, you got your mate who's a good footballer or a good runner or a good boxer. I was good at all sports, but I was never brilliant at anything. That makes sense. So there was always a mate who was a better footballer, a better boxer, a better runner, a better. Yeah. Well, none of my mates really played golf, so after a few lessons.
All them and that.
So what happened then? I'd had my few lessons. I kept it quiet from my mates. I wanted to keep my mum happy, so I'd started going up the driving range and whacking these golf balls. And I think it was just the summer of when I was 13 years old. A few of the lads said, "Let's go and play at this pitch and putt golf course."
Right.
Well, now I'd had a few lessons, hadn't I? Yeah. So when you go in playing it with your mates who were better than you at football, better than you at boxing, all the rest, and now we're playing golf, 12 of us. Yeah. That was the best one.
Oh, yeah,
and I think that's then what kind of, I took it a little bit, I want to win this, I want to be the top dog.
No matter what field we're in, if you're top, that's a good feeling.
I want to be spoken about. So, we talk about him at his football and him at his boxing, how good he is. Well, all of a sudden we played this little 9-hole golf course, and
you're up there and out there.
I was the main man at it, and that kind of drove me on then. And because of your golf, you get a bit better. I got to a level of just being able to play the game properly, not at a good level, but I could go out on a golf course and play and hit it properly, not miss it and top it and all the rest of it. And then, as you know, I probably was 13, 14, I just got the golf bug.
Oh yeah, well then, and you got access to the golf course, and then you can quickly get back to play all the shots.
I was at it, Joe. School, set off for school at leave home at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, walk to the bus stop to school, 8 o'clock to catch the 8:15 bus.
And you're off and away, yeah.
But what
yeah.
I was doing, I was getting on the school bus, it was going up the top of the hill for the second drop. I'd get off and go to the golf course.
Good.
So the school would be...
Misspent youth made you a good golfer, there you go. So depends how you misspend your youth. But in your case, you become a world ranked, you become a European tour, you got a ranking on the European tour, you played Challenge Tour and European
I Challenge Tour ranking and got a few European Tour.
And you made cuts, you made the cut in the Jersey Open or something?
Jersey Open, Spanish Open.
Spanish Open, so you're now world ranked, which is a great achievement. But you weren't an ordinary, really type golfer, because you were a doorman in the West End at the same stage you were fritting jobs.
What happened, say, I started playing golf at 13, got the bug for it, so 14, 15, 16, 17, I'm just playing golf now, school's out the window, even the school let me go before I did my exams, because I was a bit, not a handful at school, but education just worked for me.
Yeah.
And they knew I was good at golf. I was playing for county. I was then, getting close to, you could see I could have a career in golf, which way it would go. I was quite highly ranked in the country.
Was down to you how far you wanted to go, but you were in the realms of being a professional.
Yeah, so luckily a local golf course to me gave me a job part-time in the shop at 15 years old, so that was great. I was in my element, around all these shiny golf clubs and all these golf balls at 15 years old. It was great. So I had a part-time job there. The pro at the golf course said there's a full-time job for you. So basically I said to the school, I ain't coming back.
So at this stage you become what you call an assistant professional, which is like a trainee to the head professional, to become a member of the PGA, which is the Professional Golfers Association. This is one of the oldest affiliation body in both in the US and in the UK. In the UK it originated from. So you're a member of the Professional Golfers Association. You have to go through a 3-year period of training.
3 years training. So I left school at 15, went and worked at the golf course, did my training, worked under a head professional. I think that kind of not the problems I've had in life as such, but it was back then that I didn't really fit the mould of what Joe's just said there about a PGA professional and how you're supposed to do it. And as people watching this,
well, you wouldn't have many PGA professionals working in the West End of London on the door.
Yeah, so that was what happened. So I got to 15, so I turned pro at 18. When I actually turned pro at the time, I was the youngest golf professional in the country. I turned pro, I think 17 years and 200 days.
So it's a record in itself.
Yeah, so at the time, I think.
So you were a baby in the golfing world.
Yeah, so I think that since then there's been younger, or even before they were young, but at that time, I was the youngest PGA pro. So I left home, just problems at home, just again, me being my personality. I left home at 17 years old, rented a room with a couple of lads, one of them being quite a well-known doorman. I met him, funny enough, through him working on the door when I'd been playing golf one day. But anyway, he said there's a room spare at our house, £50 a day. So I did that. So I moved in with him, doing the golf. But as you know, Joe, as a PGA trainee, I think I was on 50 quid a week.
Not a lot of money.
Not a lot of money. I mean, that was back 30-something years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. It never has been a lot of money as a trainee, no.
Still doing a bit of my boxing, because I was doing a bit of boxing when I was younger, but just as a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And cut a long story short, I've always wanted money. Probably like a lot of men here, I always wanted money, wanted to achieve something. Yeah. And earning 50 quid a week, it's not a lot. You can't do a lot.
So you're out the door.
So I get some work on the door. So I'm working, which when you look back at it now, there's no way in a million years I'd let my 18-year-old son do what I was doing. I shouldn't have been on the door, in truth, at 18 years old.
Weren't one of your mates on the door the brother of a famous footballer and actor, Vinnie Jones?
Yeah, Paul, that's the guy I moved in with, Paul.
Yeah.
Paul ran a security firm in West London and doors, and he wasn't officially a brother of Vinnie Jones, but they'd been brought up in the same house.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
But like best friends.
Yeah, so best friends, almost like brothers, yeah.
So I moved in with Paul. Paul works the doors. He says, well, I can get you a little bit of work. So I end up working on the door, which you're earning.
At 18.
At 18, so.
Yeah, but that's a brave old step to make. Because on the door you meet all manner of hard men, drunks.
Yeah, I think the
trouble causers, all manner of things. You guys been to clubs. You could have a nice bloke suddenly takes something. Suddenly drinks something. Before you know it, this nice bloke that went out in the nice suits all over the place is a wreck. And you've got to, as a doorman. I mean, I've never worked a door myself, but I've been to many a places where bloody my mate's a doorman. But at 18, you've got to have a little bit of something about you, haven't you?
Yeah, I think you know me, Joe, and other people know me. I'll always stand by anybody. I'm not the hardest man in the world. I probably shouldn't have been doing the door, to be fair. I probably weren't big enough, strong enough
You had a go?
ugly enough, but
You had a
there
go?
was a lot of doormen who preferred to have me there than a big ugly person because I weren't in the toilets when it kicked off. I'll do my best, and that's probably the naivety thing, what I shouldn't have been doing. I ended up then working in a place called Los Locos in Soho. It was a restaurant, a Mexican style restaurant, and then at 11 o'clock turned into a nightclub. And at 18 years old, I was working there on my own, on the door.
Oh, there you go.
You've got Lenny McLean who's working 3 doors down.
3 doors down.
That's it, and there's me.
18-year-old, yeah.
So
well, looking at it that way, it's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hello, Lenny, how you going? I'm going to work. How's your place going? I've just killed 2 people up here, Graeme. How's yours going? Oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
So I've had 4 ladies give me their telephone number, and the little old fella's just gone by. It's all right here, Lenny. I'll see you tomorrow. You can imagine it.
Well, it was all right when you're working with 6 other lads, but to be fair, I should never have put myself in a situation of working on my own in the West End at 18 years old. But anyway, you've got to do what you've got to do to earn some money.
Yeah, so it just shows you your character. Behind, as you said, you might not be the ugliest looking bouncer out there, quite the opposite. But beyond the character's the character, isn't it? It's what's inside.
Yeah,
That's why we never judge a book by its character. I
learned a lot from that, Joe, actually, because I weren't going to get the respect on the door by growling at people and looking ugly. So I had to be really polite and nice and do it that way. And do you know what? We had a little funny story. Worked at Los Locos for probably 2 years on my own on the door. A little bit of trouble here and there, but nothing major. Nothing major at all. So I was just lucky. There was a good friend of mine, Darren, at the time, who wanted some door work. And I wanted to get out of it now. You know, I started to play golf properly, professionally, and I couldn't do it anymore. So my mate Darren wanted some work on the door. So I said, actually, Friday night, Darren, I'm not going to do it. I'll put you on the door. You can take my slot now. First night he works up there, he gets stabbed up.
Oh,
I worked there for 2 years.
So you see, politeness can work.
And first night he gets stabbed. Is that?
Right. Yeah, he's trying to find a happy medium, but you know, if you don't challenge people, very often, you're no threat because you ain't challenged them, you've been polite to them. But this egotistic thing of males, especially when these nutcases, I've just seen a couple of idiots recently fighting with drinking drugs to them, and it all goes thing, big men there, gear and beer fighters I call them, yeah? Sober, can you fight sober? Of course, some people can, not many, but there's tons of Friday night gear and beer fighters, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah, so
that
anyway.
that was just my life on the door, but it earned me some money which I needed to get by, and at that stage then I'm trying to play golf professionally. So I've stopped working in the shop. I'm going to give it a go. And I'd earned a little bit of money from the door that I could pay my way, and it was okay. I did a lot better than a lot of people, but it kind of came quite evident early on that I'm never going to make enough money at this. I think I was quite immature as well, you know.
I think with the golf, it's how much desire. You had desire and went looking for sponsors and took the knocks and bruises. But many people in the golf industry stay in there because it's a passion to stay in there. Yeah. But you yourself admitted, I think, to me previously, you were more interested in your boxing and making money than you was chasing the dream as a golfer.
100%. That was, you know, if you said to me today now, you know, I was a professional golfer and I wasn't the best, but I was at a decent level. If you could say to me now, what sport would you want to be a professional in? Be boxing.
Oh, there you go.
I love boxing.
A lot of people don't understand that. And I was almost probably a bit reverse to Graeme. My passion was golf, but it was easy for me to box, although I've done both sports. But it was easy for me to box, but I had a real burning passion was to chase that boyhood dream. For me, I got derailed. The story ain't about me, but that's another thing. But I was a bit reverse of you.
Yeah,
I preferred, but you trust me. At home, there's millionaires and people, multimillionaires and billionaires. They would give more money you could ever imagine to achieve what Graham's achieved, to play in the Spanish Open at a world rank event, make the cut and win some money at the Jersey Open. Trust me, people they pay fortunes for lessons or top class, and they can't achieve it. But it wasn't for you. So let's move on. You went into your PGA qualified professional golfer. You've given up the playing ambition. You now go into the clearance, buying brands and selling stuff. Yeah, but something happened local in West London. There was a £2 million robbery, theft at Heathrow Airport, which is in the manner of both where we live, yeah? And you got arrested for it. But
Yeah, I
rightfully, you weren't charged.
No, I was acquitted of all charges.
You were acquitted of all charges.
I think it was just because I was trading in golf equipment at the time, and because of associates that I was hanging around with at the time, from working the door. I actually was working at that stage, probably I was 22 years old.
So you think really then, sort of torture was on you because you had this background of being a doorman and a golf professional, just quite unusual, and some of your associates. But it was, I thought it was quite widely known who committed the robbery, but you went in to the police station, you got handcuffed, you didn't get charged, neither did anybody else. And this is widely known in the streets. This is where you sort of got notoriety in the criminal sort of realms of people, because Graeme Stevens is now a staunch man. He knows who's committed a robbery. There's £2 million robbery on a big massive brand, but he ain't said nothing, so he's staunch. Is that fair to say or not?
Obviously, I didn't really know anything about it.
Oh,
but rumours that went around.
Oh, well, there's rumours. They're just rumours. Sometimes we just get these malicious rumours. You know what I'm saying?
So the police saw me as a weak link, being a golf professional. So they targeted me to bring me in.
And you weren't weak.
And basically, as they do, we know who it is. You just tell us who it is.
Yeah. And you didn't have a clue who it was.
Didn't have a clue who it was. So
and you told the police that enough times.
Yeah. So I can't say any more than don't.
Oh, that's fair enough.
I don't know anything. So
yeah. So lots of nice golf clubs back in the day going around the area, a bit cheap off. But somebody just said they fell off the back of a lorry. I don't know if that's true. Sometimes they do, don't they? I mean, I'm in the scrap business, and things do fall at the back of my lorry. Trust me, it's happened a few times. And if somebody picks it up, well, good luck to them, I suppose.
Yeah. So it was quite a big thing at the time.
That was a massive case at the time
because it was linked to a lot of other things as well. Things that were happening at the Heathrow airport at the time.
I suppose these criminals, whoever had it away, weren't only taking golf.
So the police were kind of right into me. I was flying out to St Lucia on a Saturday to get married.
Yeah.
The police knew that, so they arrested me the day before, so they could keep me. So I missed my flight to St Lucia to get married.
Happy wife to be then.
Exactly. So they had me in the police cells, just saying, "Look, Graeme, you can fly. You're flying in 6-7 hours' time. All you got to do is say this, that, and off you go and happily get married." So
I have the good fortune of knowing your lovely wife, and she's put up with a bit with you, that girl. The day before his marriage, gets arrested.
So that's not an ideal, but obviously I couldn't tell him anything, Joe, because I didn't know anything.
No, well, there you go. As I say, you probably fell at the back of a lorry, but I think that's where moving that aside, you become a staunch figure, and then this opens up. Because let's put it this way: when you're 18-year-old, you wouldn't know the whole side of London's villains, would you? No. But as life goes mature, there's reputations and things that undoes the doors. But you now, because of this staunch situation, as I put it, you now open the door to many other. You probably don't want it, but you've got recognition as being a good guy. So you're knocking around.
I think that's what it is, Joe.
You're knocking around with the boys.
Loyal. I think I'm quite loyal, and this is probably back then when me and you got to know each other. My name would come into things a little bit.
Yeah. Well, loyalty's everything, isn't it?
You played golf, you did boxing, we became friends. I meet a lot of your friends, working the doors, running the doors, meet a lot of faces, a lot of people. And one thing I can say, about me is everyone will say he's a good guy. He's solid, and that's
exactly. So when me and Graeme meet, he's taken me on as a PGA training professional. He's looking after me at his establishment. I want to do the golf, and he's the opposite. He keeps pestering me about boxing, and I keep pestering him about. I've got my PGA letters. I keep pestering him about golf. So this is how we become friends. But we move on with our friendship, and I then go back to my boxing and get serious and build a career in the unlicensed boxing. You come do a bit of sparring with me in training, and I'll get you a fight set up. So I'm West London's only at the time promoter, probably only ever real promoter, and of course boxer. So I'm now promoting, and Graeme says I want to fight, so I'll get him a fight. And I love this story. He's got 2 massive warehouses of branded golf clubs, because he builds brands. We'll come to that in a minute. And all these staff and that running around the warehouses, pack this out, and emails and faxes in the day, all this stuff going on. And he decides to have a sparring session with somebody we both know, a friend of ours, an absolute nutcase, Andy Till, and he's sparring around the warehouse. Tell us what happens there.
Yeah, well, you line me a fight up, so I'm busy with work. I've got 60, 70 people working for me. I've got 40,000 square foot of warehouse with £5 million worth of golf gear in. Ain't got time to get to the gym, so Andy drives down. We've got a nice big warehouse with a big floor. He brings the gloves. So I said, come on Andy, I've got a fight in a month's time. Let's spar. So I would like to say we're smashing each other around the warehouse, more like he's smashing me around the warehouse. But cutting a long story, fair play to Andy. Andy's a good friend of mine. He hits me right up the ribs, takes it all out of me. I'm on the floor, can't breathe. He breaks me ribs, and he just looks at me, you know, with his broken nose at the time. You're not good enough to fight, you.
Well, if anybody who knows Andy Till, he used to spar with massive heavyweights, and he's been on my show. But he had this saying: he didn't give any respect, and he didn't want any.
No.
But that was the big thing about Andy. I mean, Graeme is a division or two down, and he don't give no respect, and he don't want any. So you try and spar. That's why I say, what on earth are you doing sparring with Andy Till? Because he don't know how to spar. He just knows how to fight.
Well,
So
I just thought he would push me around a little bit, push me on the edge, just step back. You know, just give me.
I've never had a broken rib, but one of my fighters have, and they said they're so painful as a joke.
I couldn't even cough.
My brother had one
for weeks.
Yeah.
So the idea was, Andy, look, we'll have a spar, but you know, I'm a level below you. Just give me a good workout.
Yeah.
And he says, no.
No, well,
he said you left your ribs exposed, so I took them out.
Oh, sorry.
I said, thanks for that, Andy. Yeah.
So there you go.
The first fight got postponed because of my ribs.
Well, I know that, so I had to have another. You know, at Christmas you have like a stocking filler. When you have a fight for that, you have like a card filler. So I had to get another opponent. It cost me double the wages because I had to get somebody in quite late. But anyway, that was that. But what happened now? This is a lot of you may be waiting for this part at home, and trust me, we've got lots more interesting stuff to come on this character. But that fight gets postponed later that year, some 6 months, whatever. I can't remember the time exactly, but we're in just outside of Hounslow, Osterley. You're on the bill against the infamous, evil woman child killer Levi Bellfeild. Tell the fans at home, relive that moment, what it was like to get in there, face him, look him in the eye and the stare off, and tell us how the fight went.
If you imagine back there, Joe, nobody knew what he was.
Absolutely.
Because he wouldn't have walked in that arena or out of that arena alive if
Absolutely.
People have known.
And
so
I've said
none
that
of us,
on
so
numerous
first and
occasions,
foremost, none of us, all we knew was Levi Bellfeild was a doorman from West London. So I just need to put that out there.
That's 100%.
Nobody had any knowing of what he was or
what was the stare off like? Did you see anything?
Well, the first thing I'd ever met him, Joe, I was training at a gym near Heathrow, and he turns up. You know, he knows he's fighting me. I don't know him from Adam. He turns up in his long black leather trench coat and just looks me in the eye and said, "You're going to be scared. You're going to be very scared walking in that ring."
Really?
He just walked in, and I just laughed at him.
Yeah.
And he left.
Did he scare you?
No, not at all. No, he didn't.
Did you see anything of the evil stare? Because I knew him quite well, and
No,
I didn't know
you knew him
anything.
better than I did. No, at the end of the day, Joe, it was, you know, for me in front of you and a lot of faces, you know, I wanted to win this. This was for me. This was as big to me as Joshua fighting a world title fight. You know,
of course, well, everybody's fighting their own world title
fight.
fight.
Mates coming down. All I know is it's this Levi Bellfeild, West London doorman. So I'm training as hard as I can. I know I'm limited. You know, I've got no idea how good.
You're doing the best you can do.
I'm going to do the best I can, and that's all I wanted to do. So to be honest, I was more scared. I didn't look at him and wasn't intimidated. It was just the whole. It could have been Mike Tyson in front of me. It was still the fact of walking in that ring in front of all the people that were going to be there. Have this unlicensed.
Well, if a viewer at home, explain. It's probably better you explained. I've explained it in some bits and documentaries. I was the promoter, so I had to put on a show. I knew what type of people. Explain what type of people would have been there. As you rightly said, you'd have walked in, never walked out.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to you, Joe. You put the show on. It was no kind of 5-star event at Wembley Arena. Let's be honest about it.
No, it's not that crowd. I mean, we did have candlelit chandeliers. We did have venues like that, but this particular one was anything but.
Yeah,
people were crammed in like sardines.
Yeah, sardines. A lot of people there. So the fight night comes, and you say, I'm not thinking about him. I'm just thinking about the whole occasion of me, what I'm going to do in the ring. It could have been anyone in there.
Because I've fought at bigger venues, and people are quite distant.
Yeah.
But when you're at a venue like that,
I think
you have 400 or 500 people crammed in round one ring.
Yeah.
Everybody's on top of you.
I mean, you were there, Joe. You fought that night. Brian Nichols fought that night. There was some good people there, and I think actually ours got the biggest atmosphere. And people might have seen the fight. It was the worst fight of the night, but it was how the fight went.
Tell the viewer at home how it went.
Well, Jimmy Stocking, as you know, he's refereeing.
Yeah, so I'm a legend ref.
I'm ready in my corner. Levi's in his corner. I know nothing about Levi. He's a lot bigger than me. I think I was weighing in at I was quite lean then and in quite good shape, I think.
You're up sort of light heavyweight division, 12 and a half stone.
Yeah, I was probably a bit heavier, 13, and he's probably 16-ish, I guess. So he's a bigger man than me. But I think my boxing skills are going to be alright. So I'm there to box. I'm not there to become a hard man or a fucking gangster, I'm just there to have a boxing match. It's what I've trained for, it's what I wanted to do. So we go into the centre of the ring, Jimmy does his thing, Levi Bellfeild, first thing he does is puts the nut on me. So admittedly straight away I wasn't expecting that, it's not it wasn't an all-in fight.
So Jimmy's pulled him aside. Give him the right
within 10 seconds, pulled him aside, giving him, because that weren't what it was about in my eyes. It was
it was a boxing match.
It was supposed to be a boxing match, so I'm a bit taken aback by that, but okay, let's go again. So then we go in the centre of the ring, the fight starts, and I just start jabbing away and boxing, and it's quite clear then he's no boxer.
Yeah.
I'm no expert boxer, but I can tell he's no boxer. His hands are up here, he don't like getting it, he's not throwing punches back. So for the next 15 odd seconds, I'm throwing a few punches, moving.
Yeah, you're doing the business.
This is alright, this is just pretty boxing. But then he runs at me, picks me up, throws me into the ropes and nuts me again. So Jimmy pulls him off, and then for the rest of the first round, I think it was only 3-minute rounds, I can't remember, it might even be 3 twos.
Yeah, 3 twos, 4 twos, probably 3 or 4, yeah, 4 twos, probably, yeah.
So we end up, I think, at the end of the first round, rolling around on the floor.
Right.
Because he's literally picked me. I don't think in that first round he's actually thrown a punch.
But he's grabbed you.
He's grabbing me.
So he's showing the fear of somebody who don't want to fight. He wants to try to either. Yeah.
So Jimmy's trying to stop it. So Jimmy's giving him a bit of a bollocking in the corner at the end of the first round. Second round comes out and he just runs at me. Literally just runs at me. And he's a big man. He's a bigger man than me.
He's a big old lump. Big old useless piece of shit, horrible man. We know that. But we're just saying, as I said previously, we didn't know this at this stage and say it for what it is. He was a big old lump.
So he picks me up again, gets me in the corner. Well, Andy Till's in my corner at the time. So Andy Till runs in the ring, throws me to one side, picks Levi up and say, if you want to have a fucking fight like this, you're going to fight me. Right. So he said, right, start boxing him. So I think Levi then probably half shit himself, thinking that Andy's going to, if it carries on like it is, Andy's going to steam in to the ring. So we have a bit of a boxing match for the next kind of minute or two, and then it starts getting ugly again, and then basically it's the end of the second round. Again, I really wanted to box, and it's ugly, it's horrible.
Because you also had the Frankums in your corner.
Yeah, well, I didn't have the Frankums in the corner. The Frankums were in the crowd.
Oh, in the crowd, right.
And one of the Frankums came up to me and basically says, boy, if someone nuts you, you nut them back. He said, forget your boxing, go in there. As soon as that bell goes in there, you run at him and you give him some of what he's giving you.
Oh, right. So you've taken this on board, have you?
Well, to be fair, Joe, I'm not that type of person.
It's
I'm boxing.
Yeah,
I'm not there to do the Lenny McLean headbutts and Roy Shaw headbutts and stamp on people's heads. It's not really what I intended to do, but it was actually quite funny. I thought, I've got to listen to him. He's just told me what to do. He's screaming in my ear to do it as I'm standing to come out.
Yeah.
So I've got to have a go. So I kind of rung at him and tried to do headbutt, and to be honest, Joe, it was the worst headbutt you've ever seen in your life.
You didn't practice it.
I must have missed him by a mile. I kind of pulled my head back this far anyway. And then Jimmy got the ump. So actually Jimmy, for the last minute and a half of the round, gets out of the ring and just says, have it all in. He just says,
oh, that's fair. Oh, Jim would probably like that.
Jimmy said, I've had enough now. Yeah. So I think, right, I'm a bit fucked here now, because he's got the free rein and he's run at me like a ball and put
But
me
you've got
up
Andy
there.
Till and the Frank.
But in the end, I then turned around and I thought, well, this is what it is. I ain't got a choice now. I've got to fight.
All in.
I've got to fight. So luckily, I've managed to pin him down in the corner, and I've still got it in my elbow today. When I go on holiday and get a suntan, because he had like a shaved head, grade 1 or 2, like sandpaper head. I've managed to pin him in the corner.
Yeah.
And I'm hitting him on the back of the
What
head
do you
with
call it,
my
forearm
elbow.
slam or
Yeah, I'm
something?
smashing him on the back of the head and he can't get up. So the last 40 seconds of the fight is just me having him in headlock, elbowing him on the back of the head, and
How's he like that? That horrible bully probably didn't.
Yeah, he didn't really. He didn't, and to be honest, the fight then kind of stopped. It was a bag of shit, to be honest, as a boxing
But it was
match.
hilarious because I was there. I mean,
you were there.
you have all various parts of entertainment, and as a promoter, I had other promoters coming up to me from outside the area. Bobby Frankham being one of them, and Ricky English. They were promoters up in different sides of the world. I think sort of Milton Keynes and South London. But they come up to me and said, "Would you tell us how you make nights like this?" They absolutely.
And this is what I
loved
say.
it.
You were on the show, Joe. We were one of the later fights, I think. So you had fought first, if I remember rightly. Brian Nichols had fought, and it was a good atmosphere. But the crowd loved what was going on.
They wouldn't get it in a license.
They
match,
were on
that's
the
thing.
ropes, and I'm looking around. There's all these faces, the Frankhams, the Andy Tills. They're screaming on the ropes. they're absolutely loving it. And I've come out of the ring, and we've done our bit, and I'm walking back to the changing rooms, and there's people I didn't know, and it was actually really humbling because the boxing was shit. And a lot of these people...
It was an all-in fight.
Yeah, it was an all-in fight. And the amount of guys that you know, big reputations, came up to me and just said, "You've done brilliant, son. That was brilliant. You didn't let him bully you. We loved that. That's made our
And we
night."
called a return with him and he never wanted it.
Yeah, called a return and said...
And he was
"Right,
actually
let's do it."
nice here next time he saw you, was that right? He saw you somewhere and he was nice and polite.
Yeah, he was polite, to be fair, but then obviously it wasn't that long after, Joe. I said, "Let's have it properly then, Levi. Let's do another one. Proper fight. You can train for 6 months, whatever. Let's do it. If you want to do it bare knuckle, we'll do it bare. Let's have a proper..." But he didn't take me up on it. But it weren't long after that I get a knock on the door by the murder squad.
Yeah.
And just totally innocent, of course, but just saying, "We understand you know Levi Bellfeild.
Yeah,
you
not
had
many.
a fight with." And
Yeah.
to be fair, the detectives were good. They're saying that we're not leaving any unturned stone. What do you know about him? Did you have any inklings, or was there any idea that? And I said, "How do you know if someone's a serial killer?"
Well, the serial killers like him, he evaded them a long
So
time.
obviously
he was actually, the police said he was very, very clever. He left no traces. I'd done a bit before. My mother-in-law said he lived next door to my mother-in-law, and he was the boy next door. She thought he was a lovely man, and to an elderly lady, she see him as a lovely bloke. So he really was a serial killer we didn't have no idea of.
So to be fair, Joe, it's not something I've spoken about since. All I did was have the fight with him. I never went out and had a beer with the man. I never, and to be honest, I've buried it since then because it's so heartbreaking and so horrible that I'm not proud of. Well, obviously not proud of knowing him. I didn't know him, but having any association.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the first time I've ever spoken to him.
I questioned myself, how could I not recognise it? Because I knew him well. How could I not recognise it? But anyway, your boxing moves on.
Yeah.
You get past this fight with Bellfeild, and you go into these training camps. You go to Thailand a lot.
Yeah.
And you do these pub fights. Now, you go for like a month at a time, and right into the proper diet and training. You should love that stuff.
I think because boxing was my hobby. I didn't do it to be a face or be a hard man. I enjoyed, like a lot of people go and play golf because it's their hobby. I enjoy boxing. I'm not one to go to the gym and pump weights, but I like boxing training. I love it in the pads. I love it in the bag. And it's just probably a midlife thing. I don't know if many guys here have a similar thing. You're working hard, you're doing the same old routine. I just wanted a little bit of peace in my life and a lot of things going on.
And you got it from there, yeah?
Yeah, a lot of things going on in my life, behind the scenes and all the rest of it. I just had this thing of, I want to go to Thailand. I've never been to Thailand. I want to go to Thailand and do one of the camps or just do something out there where you live, not primitive, but where we're driving our Range Rovers and our Ferraris and our mobile phones and our laptops and wearing our designer gear, and it's a rat race round here. And I wanted to go out there and put my flip-flops on, a pair of shorts, literally sleep in a hammock if I had to.
Eat good food, eat proper food from the ground.
Do something totally different to what the life is like in London. So basically I found a fight camp out. I just went on the internet, found a fight camp out there that does, they call it Western boxing. In Thailand, a lot of it's Muay Thai, kicking. I can't kick more than 2 inches off me.
Yeah,
so I just
I
found a camp that does Western boxing, which is just normal boxing to us. So I thought that looks great. Booked it for a month.
Loved it.
I basically, a bit of unhealthy lifestyle as you are in your kind of late 30s. Going to get fit, going to get my head clear, get everything good. And the reason it was a big Western boxing camp, there was a professional called Christian Diageo, who was a professional boxer by trade, but moved into Muay Thai. So I went to his camp. Absolutely fantastic camp. There was some UFC fighters training there. There was all different levels of fighters, but you had your room, they did your food, and you trained 5 hours a day, hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half in the afternoon.
How good's that?
And it literally was eat, sleep, train. And I went for a month the first time, Joe, near Pattaya, never went out, had a beer, never ate, slept, train for a month. And I'll tell you what, for your body, your mind.
So this was something that was so impressive, you continued doing this. Now, Christian Diageo, he was a bit like the governor of the camp, somebody you really looked up to. He was a hugely experienced Muay Thai fighter.
Had 150 odd fights, 120 of them was the WBC this, the WBA.
Champion of this, that and the other. So he then later on, he just absolutely, by his own family's admission, absolutely loves fighting, by his own admissions. He then turns professional with the boxing. He's doing very well, but this is a bloke that you now train with. You can confide in him. He was a little bit older than me, not a lot, but he owned the camp. He's almost like a father figure. Although he's not old enough to be your dad, but he's that sort of bloke you look up to.
He's an Italian guy, moved to Thailand when he was 20, was like the world Muay Thai, in that world, famous. So it was his own camp, it was his business, so anyone who came and stayed at his camp were like his customers basically, but they're like his children, he looks after. So he's your shoulder
to lean on. He's your
was just
trainer.
Brilliant man. Obviously,
so you got to really like this man. He then turns professional in the light heavyweight division, I think.
No, I think it was heavyweight.
Heavyweight division.
It was heavyweight.
Heavyweight division, and when I say professional, he's been a professional for a number of years, but he's now got a WBC. He's fighting for a WBC heavyweight Asian title. So you're his sparring partner.
Did a lot of sparring.
Friends. We got all of these bits. In fact, we got some footage here. We're just going to show you. This is you sparring with him in his last fight before this WBC.
This was the Thursday. This was his last sparring session.
On the fight, his fight's on when?
On the I think it was the Saturday night.
Saturday night.
This was the Thursday.
So you're big part of this. You're part of his team, his entourage. He's massive out there. The cameras are rolling, everything. So the fight takes place. Your ringside seat.
So we go with him.
Your back room.
I'm part of team.
At this stage, you're his team. You're ringside. You've been backstage with him. So your mate's now fighting with his massive title.
He's going out there. Thousands of people in Bangkok in the big arena. Thousands of people.
He's winning the fight on points.
On points. We're in the last round. He's won every single round.
Then suddenly, he takes a whack.
He takes a shot. He took a shot in probably the second minute and a half of the last round. And he's won the fight. He's won. Even the scorecard showed he won every single round.
He goes down.
He goes down.
He gets back up.
He gets back up, but you could see straight away that there was something not right.
So he gets knocked down.
He gets knocked down. He gets back up, and you can just see that he's sluggish. He's not right. But we're just putting it down to exhaustion, fatigue.
And age, because he wasn't a young man. He's 49-year-old.
49. He's just been knocked down. He's taken a big shot. So we're all just screaming. We're looking at our watches. You've got
to get through it.
Just get through it. Move away. Hold on. Just hold on. You can see that he's hurt, and then the fella throws another punch and it just catches him round. But it was a soft punch. He goes down again, and then he gets up again, and you can just see really the ref should be stopping it at this stage. But he's won every fight. It's a world title. He's literally got 40 seconds to go, and then he takes another shot. And the rest is history. He never gets up again.
So you got somebody, you become very good friends with somebody you adore, somebody you love, somebody you respect. You're backstage, you're ringside. He gets hit for the third time, doesn't get up. he dies right in front of you.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that like? I mean, I'm.
Well, you don't. You've been round boxing more than
Well,
I
I've
have.
never witnessed that.
Well, you see boxers get knocked out, and you watch it on telly. They get knocked out, they come round, don't they? But you know, they might stick them on a chair, give them a bit.
At
of
what
oxygen.
stage are you worried?
Well, the fact he isn't moving, Joe. His arms are out.
Really?
His arms are out. His legs are out. He's splayed out. He's not moving. The first aid was good. They're there with him straight away. You know, it's a proper sanctioned, you know, first aid people, and then you can literally see them kind of working on him. They're working on him, and you know it just didn't look good. You've seen it in professional boxers on telly where they look knocked out cold, but then you can see him moving around. They put him on
move
their
a little
side,
bit.
move a little bit. He's not moving at all, Joe.
Really?
And
So
he's
this
from
stage you're-
here to there for me. I'm front row. He's there lying there. So they take him out of the ring pretty quick, take him to the hospital, and basically.
So you've given the medics time to go to work before you go to see him in hospital, or is it announced before you
No,
get
it was
there?
announced before we got there. We're all now.
So he's died within hours, has he?
Yeah.
And been announced
Yeah,
dead.
he never regained consciousness. He never. So he was dead. I think they get him to the hospital and put him on machines, but we knew within 2 hours, I think.
That he wasn't going to come round.
That was it. But that was time.
So what sort of effects that had on you?
Do you know what? It's funny. Again, Joe, I've not had people that close to me, friends that have died. And even though he was a good friend, a very good friend, you know, I'd only known him. I've been to the camp probably 4 or 5 times for a
So
month.
you spent
at a
4
time.
or 5 months with him, though. That's
Yeah,
a long
at
time.
different times.
When you think a lot of people at home we see 4 times a year, they're still old mates.
Yeah.
Yeah. You spend like a tenth
You know, you are,
almost
a lot of
of the
people-
year with a man.
Yeah, a
You're
lot
gonna
of
get
people-
to know him well.
A lot of people, you know, will know what it's like when you lose a friend, and it was the
But
first.
under those circumstances,
I know you're kind of cold. You're
because I mean, in the nicest way at home, death is death, yeah. But when you go to a sport you love,
He did what he loved. His brother put a post out there to say he did what he loved.
well, I understand that.
But at 49 years
But a
old,
49-year-old, what I'm saying is, I lost a close friend, my best friend with COVID, and I felt robbed because it was a new type of illness, right? So I really felt robbed, because if it was a cancer, an heart attack or a stroke,
Yeah.
I'd have understood it. And whilst we do know that deaths go on in boxing rings, they're so very, very rare, you must have felt totally robbed. It must have been so strange.
it is. I mean, obviously there was a lot of. I don't do social media, but you know, it went on the Mail online, the Sun online, and people put in their comments, "Well, you shouldn't be fighting at 49 years old. It's a young man's sport."
Bernard Hopkins done it at 50, didn't
Yeah.
he? And he's successful. An 18-year-old lady, a professional woman boxer, got killed fairly recently. She's 18-year-old. She's a young lady. It's the first death I heard in women's boxing. I think it's a bit like
It
it
can
can
happen.
target to anybody.
But it was very sad, Joe. He was a good friend. He was a good man. And it's just sad.
Did you fight? Did you carry on fighting on in the respect of him? Did it ever stop?
No, it was
you?
kind of because I'm married and my wife basically saying you're not doing it again, and you've got to respect your family's views, because I was having the pub fights out there where you train. Christian would take me to it's a big pub in Pattaya, people might know it, and loads of foreigners all getting pissed up drinking. There's a boxing ring in the middle. It's not, they won't take a drunk in there to fight, so it's all organised. But you know,
Have you taken your wife's advice on?
Yeah, so since then you have to be said. I've got kids. I've got.
Yeah. Well, my daughter's looking at me now, and I don't know what she's thinking, but she's my camera girl and editor. But when I come back at 44, 45, every one of my family didn't want me to do it,
Yeah,
and I did. But there is a side of me. Says, I think if I'm 80, I'll still fight if I have to, because what's this in me?
Yeah.
If I have to, I like to think I'm a polite bloke like yourself. Well, if it's in you, you have to fight. But it do cross my mind now. I'm 51. I think it still cross my mind to do a bit more. But if I had to fight, I would. But we don't have to fight at our age. And
No,
it's probably sound advice, isn't it? Because
I still enjoy it.
it's a young man's game, isn't it?
Yeah, COVID kind of hit it really, because I wanted to go back out there and respect to Christian and train again and see all my friends around the camp. You know, his wife lives there. He's got young kids there that would be training in the camp with. It was a real family thing. But obviously, COVID hit.
Yeah.
I'm older now. I mean, I won't fight again. There's no way I'm gonna.
No,
but I wanted to go out there and
I can't blame you in that. You won't fight again unless you have to. You never know what's round the corner because somebody might force you to fight.
Yeah,
but I mean that's outside. But we have an option in there. But I want to take for a lot of my fan base are boxing fans, so we want to just put up a picture here of Christian, and I'd like to say a little prayer for him and his family. God bless you, my friend. You lost your life in the sport we love. So let's just have a little 5-second pause in respect to your good friend and a fellow boxer. God bless you, mate. Okay, so so beyond all of this turbulent life of golf professional, doorman, hardman, unlicensed fight, losing a close friend, you're a successful businessman. You live in a very nice road. I've had the privilege of going to your lovely home where footballers live. You drive top of the range cars. You're a successful businessman. You now own one of the biggest brands around Europe, I suppose. Oscar Jacobson.
Yeah, we own 6 golf brands.
Do you? Is Oscar your biggest one?
Oscar Jacobson's the biggest apparel one. It's a premium golf clothing. Competes with Hugo Boss. You know, Oscar Jacobson.
Well, sorry, Hugo, I might be changing.
I should have been wearing it. I
might be changing shortly because I think we could be going Oscar Jacobson. I'm sorry, Hugo. I've met one of the Hugo Boss blokes actually through the golf industry, but I could be going Oscar Jacobson.
Yeah,
the old banner might be changing shortly. You never know. But anyway, so tell us a bit about how that game.
Yeah, so it's just obviously knowing golf. It's just grown as anyone's like your scrap metal business, Joe. It grows. You start off, you graft, you work hard. You have to do what you have to do to make it grow, you know, and we've just grown it and grown it. We own 6 golf brands, McGregor, which makes clubs and balls and bags, Oscar Jacobson, we own Farah now as well.
Oh, lovely old brand back in the day,
people know the Farah, so we got the Farah brand.
You've obviously, knowing you would source and get good quality clothing.
Yeah, we can source. You know, we got factories all around the world, Vietnam, China.
But you wouldn't have, the names like this. I'm sure it's top quality stuff.
Yeah, it's good, good quality gear. So it's a good business. Things get challenging, but it's like anything. It's going back to the days of having to do what you had to do on the door to make money. Yeah. You know, some people think they can get it and just always moan. The people who've got it are people who work hard, Jack. Yeah. You have to work hard.
I know you're a hard worker, mate. And but you've got this knack of building a brand, haven't you? That's probably where your speciality lies. You take a brand from almost zero to hero, don't you?
What I have done with some of our brands, so we've taken ones that have already been established and struggled. Like Farah was a massive brand in the 80s, falls off the cliff. I'll buy them, reposition them, and just reinvent them again. So a lot of our brands, other than Oscar Jacobson, all the other brands were big leading brands at one point and went through difficult times, and I'll buy them when they're at the bottom
and
get them at the right price, invest in them and build them up. So we distribute all our golf product all around the world. You know.
Because I know over the years you've sponsored some quite famous people, myself included. That's a joke, but you have Golden champion Darren Clark.
Darren Clark, who won the British Open.
Who's the big names?
Graeme McDowell won the US Open. Louis Houston-Hausen, who won the British Open.
So massive household names in the sport. You obviously have to have a knack to say, well, I'm going to throw X amount at this bloke because these are big names. They're obviously easy to get sponsors. They're not like your normal, and I want for the right word, myself, who wants to sponsor somebody that low down the ladder. In the golf industry, you've got to get these high stars, so they're not there for free. You've got to pay.
I mean, I was fortunate.
How do you judge that? How do you say, well, example, I'll give you 100 grand, I'll have you, and how are you going to see your return on investment? How do you judge that? Do you get advice, or is that something?
No, it's something that obviously because I'm in the game, I kind of know it. Luckily, because I played a bit, I know these guys anyway. Yeah. So there is a bit of a relationship, but business is business. They're not going to wear your gear for nothing.
Well, they're not people like that.
No.
You know, a lot of people out there be saying, give me some Oscar Jacobson clothing, mate, I would. But in the nicest way, you're going to have to go and buy it, unless you're a bit of a Darren Clark or whatever.
Yeah, and you've got to pay them. And so it's like somebody who's buying players for their football club. You have to take a punt, we're going to buy in.
Your calculated risk are obviously...
We've been pretty good.
Obviously working very well,
we took David Howe, who's older now, he's fallen out, but he played Ryder Cup, was 9th in the world. We did a deal with him with our Stubert brand quite a few years ago now, probably 20 years ago, 15, 18 years ago, something like that. He was 450th in the world, no one really heard of him. We did a deal. Within 8 months, he's 9th in the world, he's won the BMW PGA.
Because he got a comfortable pair of golf shoes that look smart. Yeah, you see what I mean?
So you take the punt on him.
maybe have some of these brands, and it might make you play a bit better. I'm going to try some later. I don't know if you've got something to fit me up. Do a bit of breathing in, and you know. Yeah. Is this a slim to the hip, Oscar Jacobs?
No, we'll get the bigger.
Big old heavyweight
we'll
boys like this.
We'll get the bigger sizes.
Well, that sounds all right. Then there you go. So look, moving on to your family. I know that you and your lovely wife endured heartache at the start, early start of your marriage. You lost your first baby son, but you were blessed with two beautiful children there on, your beautiful daughter Georgia and your fine young son Lewis.
Yeah, they're good kids, yeah.
You got it all in place. So what's the future hold for the ex-doorman, fighter, golf professional, now entrepreneur?
Well, I was 50 last week, Joe. So
welcome to the senior golf circuit.
So I can play on the Well, I can't play on the Legends Tour. I've got to qualify for the Legends Tour. I stopped playing golf for the last 50 with business and everything else that was going on, and my love for boxing. Golf took I'd done my golf playing bit. That was kind of put to bed. COVID hit. We're walking around the golf course, walking the dogs. My son starts playing a bit of golf because he can't go to football, do this. And I thought, you know what, it was a lovely day, lovely golf course walking around. I'm 50, need to start doing something. Actually, come on, let's get the golf clubs out.
Ah, there you go.
So the golf clubs...
Instead of the piper and slippers, it was a golf club.
Yeah, so the golf clubs have come back out. Started playing a lot of golf with my son. So we don't know. There's a Legends Tour for people over 50. Good money in it. You can travel the world. The fortunate thing for me is now financially I'm secure. So when I was first playing, I'm doing it on a shoestring. I needed to make money when I was 19, 20 years old. If not...
Now the pressure's off in that area.
Pressure's off. I can travel with my wife. We can play in Spain or America if I can qualify for these events, or France. We can go there and actually have a holiday, and I can play in the golf. So we might have a couple of years of actually practicing.
Do you know, I'm contemplating, I'm now an amateur, but I'm contemplating going back as a professional to do it myself.
Yeah, it's just...
And you never know, I'm looking for a sponsor, so you go back, have a word with your finance.
I won't even sponsor myself.
Yeah, we go out with your finance manager, and you say, well, there's another old struggling pro out there, got to help them, you know what I mean? But, joking aside, I think I'm looking at doing a Legends Tour, school, have a go. It's another challenge, isn't it? It's like almost being in the golfing, it's not being reborn. The blokes that hit it 30, 40 yards past you don't hit it 30, 40 yards past you anymore because you're the same age as you or whatever. So,
exactly.
So it's a bit of fun. So finally, mate, what to the young fans out there? You're a boxing fan. You've done some boxing. You're a world-ranked golf professional, or was. I suppose your world-ranking stays with you at some point. You were world-ranked.
I was not, man.
Yeah, world-ranked at some stage, and I think it's fair to say you're an entrepreneur, businessman in that field, aren't you? Because you build brands, you've done a few different avenues. So you're a successful golf entrepreneur, I suppose, or brand entrepreneur. Yeah. What success? What advice, other than your success, would you give to any young fans listening here? I.e., want to box, i.e., want to be a golfer, or i.e., want to be a businessman? What advice would you give?
When it comes to the golf thing, I know that everyone says don't give up your dream, don't give up your dream. But anything's possible. Anything in it, I've seen in my life, anything's possible. But I do think you have to be realistic if you want to be a professional golfer, because I still see guys that are 30, 35 still wanting to make it. Yeah. And you have to be realistic. So I think my good thing was I jumped out of trying to make it as a player. I'm not saying ever give up, because they're good players, but sometimes be realistic. So I stopped playing at 22, 23, because I knew I would never have made it. So I was realistic. I know guys are in their 40s now, still living with their mum and dad, thinking they're going to make it. You ain't going to make it. So I switched from, but I'd say never give up your dream, but be realistic.
Well, I mean, if they're stubborn enough and they want to keep on doing it. But it's not, what you're saying is it might not be the best financial move for you.
No, exactly.
If they want to chase their dream, at least they got a dream to chase.
Yeah, exactly.
It's better than chasing the dragon, and that's some drug shit, what they call it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but then the only advice I do on business, like everyone's their own person, but you know, me being a golfer and in the PGA, and this is how we know each other, Joe, you know, my face didn't really fit within golf. There's a lot of other stories we could tell about getting in trouble with the PGA and this, and getting in trouble with that person.
I want to save some, I want to get you back on the show.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stories.
Boys enjoy it.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories that's happened on the golf course where I've launched a players' clubs in the lake. That's for another.
Okay.
So my face didn't. I was out of the norm. I was out of the mould of your normal golf pro. So the challenges I've had to fight them. But as you know me, I face anything head on. You know, I'm not a hard man. I'm not a gangster or anything like that. But I won't ever be rolled over. And I'll face it's determination and keep going. When people try and knock you, and there's a lot of backstabbers and a lot of jealous people out there, when you're in your late 20s, 30s and you're successful, everyone wants to bad. There's a lot of jealousy.
Oh yeah, that's for
and
sure.
people try and bring you down. Like you say, even the time of the unfortunate, when I was arrested for the burglaries and the robberies, that was people grassing. People grassing.
Jealous grassing.
Jealous grasses.
Yeah.
We didn't know actually what the truth was.
Didn't know what the truth was, no.
So, but you keep going. You keep going. Don't in life. Don't take people out for the sake of it. Don't do people wrong. Do people good, but don't let people knock you down. Keep fighting and
keep
battling.
Keep
going and take the rough with the smooth. There will be. Everyone will say there's downturns in your life. Even if you're a bit down, and men of our age, they do get down. Don't.
Keep going. Well, it ain't a bed of roses, as the words in the song.
Pick yourself up, take a bit of advice from people you respect, brush yourself down, be a man, be a man, pick up the phone and speak to someone, get advice, and that's where you want to get to. Be positive and do it.
Just keep going, even if it goes slightly Z-shaped sometimes.
I've had times I've had it, Joe, when my business has been on the brink a few times.
Yeah.
I don't give up. I fucking work harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Try harder.
Well, you stay in the swim or stay in the fight, you've got a chance, haven't you?
Exactly.
Once you're out of the fight, you're out.
Yeah.
If ever you quit, it's like a fight. If ever you quit, you never know what the other fight's going through the other fighter's mind. But if ever you quit, you let yourself down forever. You let yourself down and ever quit.
And that would be my advice, just from the business side. I know there's a lot of...
But it's the same in life, principle,
yeah, it's the same in life. I think it's the same thing. You keep going. People will knock you. People will try and bring you down. There will be downturns. In any business, in any marriage, in anything. Nothing's always rosy.
So being realistic is not quitting, is it?
No.
That's saying be realistic, move on to the same couch. That's not quitting, that's just saying as be realistic.
Learn from your mistakes. We're older now. We've made mistakes in our lives.
Yeah.
We were talking about it beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely.
And learn from them and just be determined and be honest with yourself, be honest with other people. Just
keep moving on. Well, there you go. For you youngsters out there, some sound advice. I hope you've enjoyed the story of Mr. Graeme Stephens. You click subscribe, give me some feedback, yeah? Okay, because I need to know, you know what I'm saying? That's what makes us tick. I like having a chat as well, give us some feedback. But thanks for tuning into Cushy TV, as promised. Not Netflix, not Sky, right here, Cushy TV. In the meantime, stay safe. Well done, mate.